Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 20 of Artful Mind. Today I have with me Dr. Prasoon Kumar, sir. Sir is an assistant professor in the Department of Biotechnology, NIT Rourkela. Sir is also the co-founder at Nuovatek Biosciences Private Limited and Iota Design and Innovation Lab Private Limited, along with Iota Diagnostic. A warm welcome to you, sir. Thank you for joining me on this platform. How are you, sir?
Thank you, Tasrin, for the invite. And I am fine. And we can discuss uh, about the topic which we intend to over here.
Yes, sir. So today we will be discussing about the mental health in higher education and how a student can find support and balance in that difficult time. So, sir, you have also been a mentor. So you have been in discuss with many students, right? So in your experience, what is the common challenge that a student face?
Okay, so for the means for the last 6 years, I have been mentoring students or teaching in a higher education institutions, primarily BTech, MTech, PhDs, all those. So whatever I have observed in the last 5 to 6 years is that two things are very, very important. One is that today's generation who are joining as a master's or the PhD are different from our generation. So
Right.
their treatment need to be different from what we expect from people like us. So that is the one thing. Second thing is that uh, these generations have their own challenges and their own merits, and these means they are overloaded with a lot of the data through the different social media and other things. So they have their own challenges. So this creates a lot of problems when they manage their projects in the higher education, primarily PhD projects or master's project, which is some way of creating a new knowledge. So they are not used to this sort of the systems, and moreover, they are being understood in the light of the previous generation. So there is a disconnect between the supervisors and the students, and this disconnect creates a lot of uh, I would say mental health problem among the students, as they find themselves clueless sometimes. They find themselves some way finding amidst all the problem, and they don't trust anybody. So this creates a lot of issue among these students. So in overall, I would say that today's generation of the researchers who are pursuing masters or PhD need to be treated in a different way than the generations before us or during us.
Right. And sometimes it is like earlier we used to see that mental health when someone goes through it, people usually do not talk about that, right? Like
Mhm.
long ago. But now people who go through, they openly talk about it. But still there are students who are going through it, but they do not seek for help. So in that
Mhm.
case, how do you advise?
So
I think
many a times,
before, sir, okay, sorry for cutting you. I think before going to that question, I would like to a question is that first of all, we need to recognize whether it is a temporary setback because sometime when the deadline, you can overcome the deadline or passing through the exam, the temporary setback goes away. But if it doesn't go away, then it ends up in something severe, right?
true.
So first of all, we need to recognize whether it is a mental health issue or it is something temporary. So that is the main challenge, right?
Yes, yes. So before I say this is the temporary or long-term challenge. Nowadays, if you look at the way the people approach any event, so people want everything to be quick results. For example, the delivering of the food, delivery of the grocery items, getting the results on the go. Like internet is there, so you just type it. Even you give the instruction to the chat GPT and all those things. So these all have made the knowledge or information or the goods or services one wants at your disposal. So today's generation is too used to that. When you give the efforts, you get the result, and that is how they are being trained. Now, if you look at the exam point of view, this is also some sort of the structured learning. And if it is a structured one, if you look at any courses, syllabus is predefined, you have been taught, you know that something would be asked from this or based on the analysis or applied part of it. So they are pretty much okay with this structured way, as well as getting the things done instantaneously, and they get the result. However, when they go for the higher education, or let's suppose research or entrepreneurship, where it is, so where the rule is uh, completely different. Like there, the failure is the rule, I would say. Majority of the time you fail and you don't get the things instantaneously. So now your mind is wired to get instantaneous results or instantaneous things, and a small effort or structured approach falls. So you have to navigate through this chaos all the while in the entrepreneurship. So every time you have to take the decisions, the decision may go wrong, then you have to correct yourself, then you have to revisit and strategize something better, then you again fail, then you again come back. This process goes on. So some way the students of nowadays, I find the students are not used to it, or they are not being uh, trained on that pattern. So probably they need to be trained so that they understand that these things do not exist in some other places. For example, research and innovation, entrepreneurship, or some job which required a lot of the efforts, continuous
Okay,
in a continuous manner.
okay. Sir, yeah, can you share some experience that you had with discussion with student? Like what kind of problem they share and what do you advise?
So, as a mentor, I would say that when I discuss about the students, so for instance, students are quite bright. I would like to say that, but they lack this what do you call character part, attitude part. So many of the students for the last 2 to 3 years, a lot of students I have interacted from this what do you call LinkedIn. I have trained nearly 10 to 12 master students, 5 to 6 PhD students are working with me, and all these students are bright. The major challenge with these students is that they lack the patience. They lack they lack the ability to when they fail, they are unable to handle themselves. They don't know how to create a strategy, act on it, then fail, then revisit it, recorrect it, get the learnings, and go ahead. So this is some sort of the muddling with the current situation and then moving one step ahead, then one step ahead, step by step, without thinking that you are going to get the result or not. You are just enjoying the process. So this entire process is missing among the today's student. What I have observed. But in our times, actually, and another part is that in their time, they are being disposed with a lot of the social media. Instagram is there, Facebook is there, LinkedIn is there. And every time they get to see that some or their friends or their colleagues, hey, some are getting some or other recognition, some are getting their publications published, papers published, some find their friends or colleagues getting their degree, and this creates a lot of unrest among the students that they do not generally follow the process of learning. Rather, they are more interested in getting their results done or their degree completed without being grilled through the process to nurture their qualities within them. So this has been the issue. But in our times, we didn't have the lot of the luxury of getting distracted due to the social media, except there was, I would say, Facebook was there, and I would say some other one or
Yeah.
two, maybe LinkedIn was there. So it's a, but we were not getting affected because of the lot of the data. Now,
Mm.
and we don't see that. So every time in our generations, what I found that when I was doing my PhD, I had to go through this stressful situation. But nowadays, even if the supervisor, sometime I have observed, I won't say that it's always true, but sometimes even if the supervisor is little bit supportive, I won't say they're completely supportive, students are still finding it challenging to work with such supervisor. And the second thing is that many times the supervisors are also unable to understand they are handling a new generation of this researcher who need to be handled in a different way. So both this
Right.
process creates a lot of tussle and creates a lot of mental health issue among the students, because students are the more vulnerable part of this entire scheme rather than the PI. Sometimes
Right.
PIs also experience this, the young professors or young who are trying to establish their lab or who are trying to start their career. They also find it struggling. So it's a percolating down the system because of uh, over expectation for something else and trying to get to the results fast rather than enjoying the process.
Right. And I think to fill this gap of this generational shift, I think it will take quite a long time, probably, to understand each other's point of view.
True. So for
Okay.
taking the time, see, as a faculty, faculties are at least as a better position than the students, I would say.
Right.
So they have to take the initiatives to create that ambience or the environment where the students can at least freely express themselves. Leave apart they are doing able to do the research or not. So once they are comfortable in the system and they are able to express themselves, slowly they will learn these small nuances, and they also have to understand that this is the research, this is the innovation, where failure is the major rule, because 95% of the time you fail and 5% you succeed. So our focus should not be getting the outcome every time when you do the effort. Many a times many efforts are done for the sake of learning only, it do not yield something, and that students need to understand also.
Right. And what steps the institute can take? Because I want to share one incident. One of my
Mhm.
friend, she went to this mental health cell of this institute, and normally it is supposed that her privacy will be not tempered, right? That the privacy will be maintained.
True.
But later, her supervisor confronted her that you cannot handle this much of pressure. How you are doing PhD? So I think
Hmm.
that is something not to be revealed, that who is going to seek for advice. Because when she talks about it, it also make other people feel that okay, you cannot seek for professional help. What if your supervisor gets to know?
Hmm.
So in
True.
that
True.
case, I think it is the institute or university's responsibilities to uh, look
See,
after those issues, right?
so these students who are going through these mental health issues,
Mm,
primarily in the initial phase, they lose the trust. Let me
right.
tell you. Now, trust on the supervisor, first of all, then trust on the lab members, then trust on the family members, trust on the friend circle, trust on the system. So where every place they lose their trust, and it happens not deliberately. It's because of the two instinct, I would say. One of the instinct is that, see, any of the students who have competed and reached to the place where they want to pursue the PhD, if they experience that, they are unable to accept themselves that they are they are having any problem, or they are what do you call, they can fail also if they haven't failed
Hmm.
in the previous time. So they are unable to come into the terms of it, first of all. Second thing is that, so there is an inner conflict within themselves all the time. Second is that they have lost trust on the system, because whenever they have tried to interact with a couple of the incidents, it's not that they have navigated each and every person in their loop, like the parents, friends, family, society. Only couple of them they have tested, and they found that they were not trustworthy enough to share their instead, because the reactions they gave was way different from what the person was expecting. So they loses this
Right.
interest, as a result of which they do not want to open up their problems with the anyone, and they try to pretend that they are fine from fine every time. So during this pretension, what happens is that they enter into the spiral of these negative thoughts, because every time they are churning these thoughts within themselves that I am having this problem, whom should I say, I cannot trust anybody, and these sort of the internal thoughts, am I not good enough, why my supervisor is always scolding me. So all those negative thoughts he is always churning within, and at the same time he is feeling a downward spiral into a whirlpool sort of system where he's continuously falling. Now, one thing they do not realize is that without sharing, it cannot be solved. So, for instance, when I was doing my PhD, so I didn't have a very good relationship with my supervisor. Although I didn't have any fight with him, I would say, right? But somehow, relationship, I mean to say that he was unable to understand my way of working, and somehow I was also adamant on my way of working. So our ways of thinking about the problem, our ways of doing the research, our ways of approaching a problem was, I would say, 180-degree apart. As a result, we were never coming together on a same platform. Although, and second thing was that being a student, I had a lot of um, reservation while sharing my thoughts with my supervisor.
Right.
So I don't know whether they would take it positive, they would take negative, because they haven't created that environment where I can share my thoughts. So
Right.
so I was breeding with those thoughts, and at the same time I was facing a lot of rejections or failure during my PhD. And as a result, I started developing this feeling of anxiety and like feeling, and anxiety was coming particularly when I used to get messages or calls from my supervisor. So this sort of the situation when happens, you need to share your thoughts. And many a times student even don't know that at what level of this anxiety, depression or mental health problem they are in. Many things
Hmm.
that, yeah, this is normal for any PhD scholar. And they don't realize they are in the midway. Sometimes they feel that, yes, this is little bit bothering, but I am fine.
Hmm.
So because they always pretend to be fine. Now, as a result of which, they continuously loses interest in the research and their projects, and the productivity also continuously goes down. So one of the
Right.
way is to solve shares. To whom to share? At least they should have some person in their life, be it a spouse, be it a girlfriend, boyfriend, be it a good friend, be it a parents, be it somebody close person whom they can share. Going to the institute counseling service, I agree that is a good strategy, but a person cannot share the inner feelings with somebody a person do not know. That is my age. So that's why many refrain from taking the help from the university or the institutes. And then university or institutes sometimes thinks that the student is under problem, so they tell this entire story what they have told to the supervisor, so that the supervisor can give them leave or something on the leave, so that the institute may not uh, get the bad name because of some or other act like a suicide, or it is taken by the students. So they want to keep their responsibility at bay, that they have taken all the steps. Although I know that the many steps are not adequate enough, but in that way they would be secure enough. And the student has to handle all these things. So now, if the institute or the university shares such thoughts of the students with their supervisor, and the supervisor and the lab was responsible for that thought, so it's a breach of the trust. Now again, breach of the trust, and then they believe that there is nobody in this world who can help me out. And then sometimes they take those drastic steps of suicide and attempt to suicide, and which is very, very sad and part in among, yeah, sad and unfortunate incidents.
Right. Okay. Though we cannot give any generalized solution because everyone's problem is different, but if
Definitely.
I ask you one last advice, how a student can recognize or at least tackle up to some level, what it would be?
Okay. So one of the way a student has to acknowledge certain things. One thing, if a person is having these issues with the supervisor, with the lab. So if there is a toxic lab culture, if the supervisor is not proper mentoring the person, and if the student has to get graduated, so some students don't have this privilege of leaving the place and going to some other place, right? Because of the financial responsibility they may be having at home. So they keep on uh, enduring all those psychological problems inflicted in their lab by the supervisor, by the lab members, and many others. So one thing they have to first of all acknowledge that, okay, the problem is not with me, rather the problem is with the lab and the supervisor. And that will come only when if they can discuss with somebody who knows them well.
Right.
Okay. Second, what they can do, whatever is happening to them, if they are able to write it down on a piece of paper.
Yeah, that
Now,
helps.
writing on a piece of paper or writing a journal would help them to at least free their mental space. Once they are freed with their mental space, they can use that mental space to at least uh, attack the same problem from a different angle, because they are researchers. So what happened when I was experiencing this anxiety and anxiety sort of what do you call mental health issue, I used to uh, write my feelings, whatever I felt during the whole day. And then I used to think on those lines, which of those lines the feeling I got for what reason. So I was critically evaluating my thoughts to where I was wrong, where some other person was wrong, if had into the independent situation. So I used to analyze. And then I used to think, what are the challenges I am facing and what are the problems with the system. So if I am clear that I am doing my best, if I'm giving my efforts to the best of my ability, and because of my limited ability, I'm unable to perform, so I need to improve my ability through taking courses, through uh, going through the different modes of learning, then it's clear. So writing is the second step. Third is that you need to very watchful about your health, primarily your bowel movement, like stomach health and your sleep pattern. So bowel health and the sleep pattern, if you observe very meticulously, you can figure it out what are the challenges. And then if you are having anxiety attack or depression sort of mood swings and all those things, try to figure it out what is the reason behind it. When do you get those attacks? So by scientifically doing these three steps, understanding your health means how, when do you eat the food, what is your bowel movement, how frequently you fall ill, and how is your sleep pattern, when do you get this attack, in what situation you get. You need to analyze through all this. Second, you need to write all these feelings and whatever you got throughout the day.
mm,
And third, you need to figure it out somebody whom you can share. If you cannot share, you can share with yourself by writing, I would say, and that will work.
mm,
It has worked a bit for me, provided you are critical enough in those
mm,
dark situations. And finally, you should follow something, your passion, where you find solace, you find peace. So, for example, I used to find solace in uh, reading my type of books. So, I read majorly philosophical and technical books.
mm,
Then I used to find solace in thinking about the new idea, even if my project was not working. So, there I get used to get the kick. So you have to pursue some hobbies which can at least rejuvenate for a time being, and it
right,
will help you to cope up those tough period. So these are the few suggestions at least I can give
right.
right now.
Yeah, for me also same. Like I started this candle making then, which is still now going on. So
Okay.
that I started during my second year of PhD. So it completed 5 years now. Now, since I am not here, so my sisters they used to look after that.
Okay.
So yeah, something we
Okay.
need to do like beyond research.
Something you need to
Otherwise,
do.
yes, definitely. And the journaling point, what you shared is really good. I think self-analysis is the main key point uh, to recognize what is the problem and how much we can solve it like by ourselves. Okay, sir.
And and one thing also you can do that, keep away from all those people who are pouring negatives. Even
Totally.
if they are parents, families, good friends, keep away from all those people. Just switch off your phone, I would say, who are pouring some sort of the negativity.
Right.
Because at those moments, a small amount of the negativity, I don't know what havoc it can bring.
Hmm. True. Okay, sir. I think we will conclude the episode here. Thank you once
Okay.
again, sir, for joining me and sharing your experience. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Tasin. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.